Takalosh Boker or Bekiim Bahalacha 3 day 73, page 152, Siman Yud Dalid. This is the Siman 14, Halacha Dalid. According to some poskim, even if someone attached the tzitzit to a talit without having intention to take a mitzvah, the tzitzit is still kosher. Meaning, according to some people, you don't have to think about the Shem mitzvah tzitzit. Stop, you came, you put it on, kosher. Other poskim rule that they're not kosher. And in practice, we follow the stringent opinion. Therefore, the tzitzit should be removed from the talit and then attached once more. This time, while having the intention of the Shem mitzvah tzitzit. So again, machloket, we are stringent, and since we're stringent, you have to take them off and put them back on the Shem mitzvah tzitzit. That's 180 says these are the rulings of the Shulchan Aruch. Nevertheless, if someone discovers on Shabbat that only has a talit available, which is one that see which are attached without the necessary intentions, he can rely upon the opinion and wear the talit. Of course, it is impossible to untie the tzitzit and do it again on Shabbat, obviously. However, he must not say the bracha on it, right? Because of safek brachot leakel. 181. There are other situations as well. The one may rely upon the lenient opinion, even without redoing the tzitzit, right? But without saying the bracha, obviously. Number one, the Rav Chida says the one may wear the talit even if there's not enough time to repair it before the end of the time for saying Shema. Meaning you want to put it on the tzitzit and it's coming time Shema. You don't have time to, so you put it on without a bracha and then you do it. B, he ruled also that if someone discovers the problem in the afternoon, by the time he's going to repair it, it's going to be nighttime and he no longer will be able to perform the mitzvah tzitzit that day. So again, he could do it that way as well. Why? Because you're going to be relying upon these opinions, but again, without a bracha. The bracha is not me'akev, so it's fine. But at least according to some shitot, he's wearing a tzitzit, he's wearing a talit. Number C, Pri Megadim says that if the hole into which the tassel is started becomes widened, so that the tassel is now less than a kesher gudal from the garment's edge, or if it's now more than 3 finger breadths from the edge, he may wear it as it is. In this case, he does not have the choice of untying the tassel or attaching it. Once again, since the problem is not the tassel, but the location of the hole. See above. Basically, if right now the hole became too close to the corner, so there is going to be a problem, right? And that's why they perforate it. No, I forgot the word exactly. They come and they make sure that they sew it up very, very well. They add the extra patch. They do everything to make sure that it's not going to get there. D, the Bet David also ruled that if the tzitzit strands are weak and it's likely that it will tear if they're untied and made over again, you can leave them and wear them the way that they are. Again, in all these 4 cases are cases where it's b'diavad that you're going to wear it as is, but again, without beracha. The same applies, right? If you discover the problem on Friday afternoon when there's not enough time before Shabbat to remove the tzitzit and put them back on, in either case, he should repair the tzitzit as soon as possible after Shabbat. Okay, halacha 5. If someone forgot to think consciously when doing the strands through the hole in the garments, that he's doing it for the sake of mitzvah tzitzit, but you remember to declare these intentions before tying the strands into the tassel for the tzitzit or kosher, and it's permissible even to say beracha. Meaning, what happens if I forgot to say it when I'm putting them inside the hole? But once they're already in the hole, now I do remember, and I do say it, and now I do everything else, the Shem mitzvah tzitzit. Here he says it's going to be kosher, and it's going to be kosher even to say beracha. 182. As explained above in halacha number 1, one should ideally declare the intentions before putting the tzitzit inside the hole, inserting them inside of the hole of the corner. I mean, Shambura explained that once the person declares that he's doing this, he's tying this as a tzitzit, it becomes obvious that this was the purpose in threading the strands through the hole as well. This is the Talmudic concept known as basically it's like hochiach sofo al tchilato, meaning if I right now come and I put it in, but I put it in with no intention, and then after 10 seconds I come and I say l'shem mitzvah tzitzit, and then I do everything else. The fact that right after a few seconds I came and I said that that's mochiach, it's proving to me that the beginning was also done l'shem mitzvah tzitzit. However, this is insufficient since it's unclear whether the halacha agrees with this principle or not. Right? You see the comment of the Gamvidna and the Rambam. In this case, there's an extra element for leniency, since the Rambam ruled that it's not necessary to have this in particular intention at all. And furthermore, some poskim rule that the tzitzit are kosher if the person had no particular intentions, as long as he had no intentions for another purpose. It's also possible to argue that when someone attaches the tzitzit to his own talit, it's obvious that he's doing it for the mitzvah. So basically, what he's trying to do is a safek. Basically like this. Number 1, maybe you don't need to have it in mind at all, which is Rambam. Other people want to say that even if you do have it in mind, maybe it's only for somebody else's tzitzit. But if it's your own talit, for sure you're doing it for l'shem mitzvah tzitzit. Other people want to say that even if you're going to tell me that you do need to have it in mind, and right, you have what's it called, and you're doing it in your own talit and everything that you want. What does that mean? I did say it 30 seconds later. So 30 seconds later, the fact that I come and I say l'shem mitzvah tzitzit, that proved that retroactively that's what I meant. So because of that, therefore you're allowed to do it. The Halacha Brura also ruled that if someone mentally, right, decided to make the tzitzit for the sake of the mitzvah, but not declare it verbally, it's still going to be kosher again because it's sveka. Meaning, even though usually we always say it l'shem mitzvah tzitzit, if you did do it in your mind l'shem mitzvah tzitzit, that's going to be okay. First of all, some scheme hold that thinking of one's intention is sufficient. Second, according to Rambam, you don't even need to do that. So since it's sveka, you could rely upon it without a problem. Halacha number 6. If someone declared his intentions for the sake of the mitzvah, but after tying the first set of knots, right, and fashioning the first set of loops, he continued without thinking any intentions. The talit is kosher, even if another talit is available. This talit may be chosen for use. Now, why? Here was the exact opposite. You said it at the beginning, l'shem mitzvah tzitzit, but then afterwards you didn't say anything. So therefore, here he says that for sure it's going to be kosher. He says this is the ruling of the Mishabra and the Kavachayim, based on the fact that according to the Torah law, only the first set of knots is required on each tassel. Therefore, if these knots were tied without the proper intentions, that tzitzit might be invalid. But once the first set of knots are done, so the remainder is just an extra. So therefore, since the remainder is just an extra, so for sure, there's not going to be a problem. It is best to verbalize one's intention to attach the tzitzit strands for the sake of the mitzvahs explained in above in halacha 1, meaning that verbalize it, say it, that you're actually saying this. Okay? If someone failed to verbalize it then he says, but he did have the correct intentions in mind, the talit is still kosher and you could still make the beracha. 184. Without question, it is best that a person declare verbally before attaching the tzitzit strands to the talit. I'm about to attach the tzitzit strands for the sake of the mitzvah tzitzit, right? And follow the instructions of Ben Ish Chai. This is the difference, right, to those poskim who ruled that whenever specific intentions are necessary, they must be verbalized. Meaning, if you need mamash the kavanah, so you have to actually verbalize it. The Mishabra ruled that if someone failed to verbalize these, but consciously thought of them, but see they're still kosher, one may make a bracha on them. Although this halakha is unclear, but someone who spun thread for the sake of mitzvah, right, without verbalizing it, in this case, you could be lenient because it's sveka. Perhaps thinking intention is sufficient, and following the ruling of Rabbeinu Hashem, and perhaps halakha is like the Rambam, you don't even need the intention at all. Furthermore, the very act of attaching the tzitzit demonstrates that you're doing it for a mitzvah, right? When you're just spinning thread, nobody knows that. The Rishon LeTziona likewise also ruled the same thing. If someone failed to verbalize his intentions, it's sufficient if he thought them. He compared this ruling to Rabbi Menachem Azariah Mifano, concerning tanning leather to use for parchment for writing a Sefer Torah. It is sufficient to think one intends to tan it for the Sefer Torah. It's not necessary to verbalize it. Likewise, when writing a get, it is sufficient for the scribe to think that is the intentions. Furthermore, Rabbi Davim and Zimra, that a buzz comes and he ruled that whenever someone wishes to write one of the sacred scrolls, it is proper for him to verbalize, but he says, if he only thinks, it's still sufficient. Maran ruled that before beginning to writing a Sefer Torah, you have to say, I'm writing the Sefer Torah, L'Shem Kedushat Sefer Torah. Furthermore, each time he says the name of Hashem, the same thing. I'm writing for this for the sake of the Kedushat Sefer Torah. If someone fails to verbalize his intentions, the scroll, right, he writes is not kosher. Regarding the process of the tanning parchment or which to write tefillin parchments, however, Maran ruled the parchment must be tanned for the sake of the mitzvah of the tefillin, and it is best to tanner declare when he begins his work that he's tanning the skins for the sake of the tefillin. Apparently, in this case, if someone would only think these intentions, it would be sufficient. Harav Zalman made this distinction clearly. When writing tefillin parchment, it's not enough to simply think of one's intentions. If someone fails to verbalize them, they are not valid. So it's coming out to machloket. Again, according to the Mishnah Berurah and Rav Yosef, lechatchila, obviously everyone says, verbalize it. But if you don't, it's still kosher. Why? Safek svek sveka. You just continue going. Rav Zalman want to say, no, if you do not do that, it's not valid. Regarding tanning parchment, however, if someone thinks of it, it's sufficient. These are likewise the rulings of the Zivchei Tzedek, adding that these scholars of the yeshiva concur with them. The Keset HaSovedim again listed number of even when one begins writing a Sefer Torah. This being the case, there's a strong basis for leniency regarding attaching tzitzit, especially since the Rambam ruled that it's not necessary to even think about it intentions. Therefore, Maran ruled that when one has no other choice, you could for sure wear it, and even with a beracha.